Uh-oh, I gotta read.
Broadcasting way too early from 3 separate Wi-Fi connections. It's PT Breakfast Club with Tony Maritato, Dave Kittle, and Jimmy McKay.
Good morning. I reshuffled the deck. Now our pictures line up with our names below. Gentlemen, good morning. How's everybody doing this today?
Doing great. Dave, how are you guys doing with the snow?
Great. Got, I don't know, Jimmy, you probably got a little bit more. We got about 24 inches, got 2 feet of snow from Sunday into Monday, but it's been, I don't know, yesterday was like 36 degrees, which felt warm compared to the recent, 15 degrees the past couple of weeks. So it's already starting to melt. And so I'm just praying for this to melt. Let's get these baseball fields cleared out. We got to play some baseball this spring. That's the main focus.
You're ready to go. Actually, no, I think the city and I think the coast got more snow than like where I am, which is like straight upstate. I won't call it upstate because I know that offends a lot of people. Where does upstate actually begin in New York? But I think you guys got some more snow. But when the mayor started hiring people to shovel, like, did that make getting around the city easier?
I think, because the last snowstorm was less. This was about a month or so ago. I don't know, the last like 4 to 6 weeks. And a lot of the curb cutouts were brutal. Like if you have, I don't know, balance issues, like it's impossible to even get us with a stroller. It's impossible to get a stroller through these curb cutouts. So there was more snow from Sunday into Monday of this week.
Right.
But yesterday on Wednesday and Tuesday, sidewalks were better groomed than the previous snowstorm, which was less snow. So go figure. So it seems like it might have worked. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Before we get to into the show, make sure we pay some bills here. Dave, you asked for it, so now you get it.
Yes.
Cereal flavored sponsors. Today's new sponsor, Documentation Flakes, fortified with 8 essential abbreviations. It's brought to you by Documentation Flakes, the only breakfast cereal clinically proven to increase your use of patient-tolerated well. Now with extra soap notes in every box, just pour, chart, and enjoy that crunchy taste of defensible billing. Documentation Flakes, part of this balanced EMR. Documentation Flakes.
I thought there was another fake cereal called Charties. Like you're charting and Wheaties, you're charting your notes, your chart.
Chartos, and then
Chartos.
Yeah.
I like Charties. Charties sounds good.
We'll get to that. Tony, how are you? You're talking about using a podcast to create patience. Like we've talked about using a podcast before to build relationships with referral sources, with places to refer to other colleagues in your geographic area or your niche. But you're saying a podcast for patient funnel? Like, walk me through that.
Yeah, so yesterday was a weird day. I was talking to Damon Whitfield. He is part of your group.
Yep.
I've known Damon for years. We've never met in person, but we've talked, 50 times. And he was saying, bouncing ideas around. He's kind of breaking down his business model and where his main revenue comes from. And he's talking about the podcast. And I was like, he wanted to do some fitness stuff for busy dads. And I kind of felt like that card had been played in the past. It's not as appealing of a niche anymore.
Right.
But then he mentioned that he was in your podcast cohort. And I was like, well, wait a minute. What if there's an opportunity here? So we went a couple directions. I said, nobody really cares about general fitness. Even golf performance and sport performance is kind of overdone. But I was like, what about all the people moving to TRT and GLP-1s? I'm like, we've got all of these, professionals that are losing 40 pounds. And you would say, instead of losing 40 pounds of muscle and keeping 20 pounds of fat for a net loss of 20 on the scale, let's keep the muscle. Let's create a program specifically for people who hate exercise, who don't have time to work out. They're going to do the drugs, but they want to protect the muscle. And so we're talking about this as a program, as an idea. And I was like, well, wait a minute. If you're doing these podcasts anyway, why don't we make the podcast the 20-minute discovery call? make the podcast the sales call so that you're interviewing that man. You're getting into all of these personal kind of deep insecurities that you're going to talk about anyway. Other people listening want to hear about it. And then at the end, it's, hey, you know, we've got this program, because I talk to so many guys just like you who are frustrated, who are, you know, dealing with these things. You've done all the right stuff. It's not giving you the results. And here's the program if you're interested. The podcast interview is the opportunity to build the relationship and the rapport. And worst case scenario is it goes nowhere, but you get a great piece of content.
Right.
Best case scenario. So we talked about this. We ran through this idea. I want to hear you guys talk about it. And I swear that night, Jeremy Sutton messages me and he's like, hey, I don't know if I told you, but, and I don't remember the percentage, a pretty large percentage of the people that I interviewed on my podcast became clients. And I was like, wait a minute. Did you talk to Damon? Did what triggered this? Because I haven't talked to Jeremy Sutton in a month. And then he comes out with this private message on the same day. I was like, holy crap. Anyway, both of them are moving in that direction. What are you guys thinking about something like this?
Go ahead, Dave. You got an idea?
Yeah. So I was just talking to Sturdy McKee last week. And so this might be another segment or another episode, but he actually just made using AI, because he's not a coder. He's a business coach and ex-private practice owner, physical therapist, just like us. Person. Yeah, 100%. And so he created this, as a side note, he created it's like a mini CRM piece of software for tracking your relationships. So it's really about, so if you go to, if you guys want to Sixer, I think it's Sixer HQ, Sixer as in like the 76ers. So SIXERHQ.com. I think that's the website. Yeah. So the headline on the website is your relationships drove your growth. How are you managing them? There was another headline that they had last week, and it was basically like, you have relationships and referrals, and it's not the algorithm and it's not technology or whatever. So it's basically like tracking your relationships. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I said to Sturdy, I was like, well, I'm pretty good with the videos and the interviewing and all that. Instead of cold messaging and trying to cold contact new potential referral sources and physicians, which is kind of the topic of what Tony's talking about with using this for podcasts. So I had this idea, and I said to Sturdy, I was like, but also, like, is it delaying the main thing that I would need to be doing, which is actually like the direct asking of the physicians? Although it's like, I have no leverage. It's a cold outreach, right? So the podcast warms someone up. That's the whole point of it. Yes, it can work. Obviously, Jeremy Sutton is doing it and has done it. So there's pros and cons to it. And it might work better with some folks and some referral sources and some physicians, and others maybe not. But it's certainly possible. I initially thought that it would be great for me to do with nearby physician referrals. However, if you break it down, it is a little bit more of a roundabout way of trying to get more new patients, as opposed to like the direct offering whatever complimentary visits or asking like, hey, do you refer patients to physical therapy and all that? So I would love to hear Tony's or even Jimmy's rebuttal on that, because there's pros and cons of it. But if we're looking to try to get more new patients and referrals, you could be going into the doctor's offices. You could be meeting the front desk folks. You could find out who's the person that's actually giving them the list of physical therapy places nearby. So it's a little bit more it's a longer play. And sometimes that might be good. Sometimes that might be slower. Those are some of the things to think about.
Real quick, Jimmy, the only thing that I would say, Dave, maybe a little different than what you're thinking is, I'm saying you're interviewing the target that you want to be the client. We have talked on this show multiple times about interviewing the physician and kind of getting together with them and getting referrals from them. I'm more talking about, you are the ideal client. I'm going to interview you. I'm going to get your story. One, because it resonates with other ideal clients. And two, because I want you to be my client. I want you to put the money in my pocket.
Let's go through this like hyper tactical, right? So right now we're recording the audio of these phone calls right now as game tape. We're also using the AI app that we talked about before for therapists to record. This is the patient sign off on it. It's on their intake. to record the audio of their evaluation and all their follow visits as game tape to review. Hey, how can we get better? What's this? The AI gives us what's this patient's personality profile, their disc profile, how to communicate with them. It's incredible. Wow. Are you talking about, Tony, are you talking about recording just the audio phone call only for the podcast? Or are you talking about recording a Zoom call? Or like, what are some tactical ways to navigate this?
Let's hear what Jimmy says. I would always do video and audio combined. I would always make it a Zoom call.
So let me go to questions first. One, how are you finding these people? And then two, like, what's sort of the premise? Like, why are they doing this? Is this, hey, I have a podcast? Like, what I like the idea so far. There's no reason not to like it. How are you finding them? And then what's the show look like? Like, how is it pitched to them?
I would look at it as your boots on the ground. You're going through the internet. I would look at local business owners in my community, find out where the men are, find out what they're doing, who they are. And then Russell Brunson shared the idea of the Dream 100, like create a list of 100 local men who are business owners in the demographic. Maybe they have kids, maybe they're in their 50s and older, whatever your criteria. And then I would start an outreach campaign where I'm like, hey, I've got this local podcast. We highlight local business owners. We also talked about the business connection. Again, the BNI kind of program where, hey, we've got a chiropractor, we've got a dentist, we've got a mechanic, we've got a painter. But that's what I would do. I would look just through my Google Yellow Pages and start an outreach campaign like that.
Got it. Understood. So this is because if the first angle was find people who are on GLP-1s and make them ideal, there's no way to really know that from like sort of scanning the interwebs.
So from that perspective, that goes to what Dave was saying, which we did talk about, like who are the local docs who are pushing GLP-1s.
Right.
Let's get them on the show.
Right.
Pushing.
Who are the TRT, business owners that are pushing the hormones? Let's get them on the show and kind of approach it from those two angles. So yes, still trying to get referrals from those guys, but then also trying to get direct to the potential client.
Yeah. To me, I mean, this is also sort of serendipitous. I got a message from someone I've known for 10 years, and she runs marketing for a series of 7 clinics. I forget why she even reached out, but I was like, hey, she's like, hey, you're like everywhere. You're doing videos and this and images, and like, where do you go to learn this? And I was like, well, why don't we sit down and you tell me your problem and I'll show you 3 ways I would solve it, never saying that those are the best ways to solve it. And I'll record it and it'll be a lesson that we'll do it for free. And then if someone watches it for 45 minutes and they come away with one nugget, like, I didn't know that app existed, or I didn't know you could do that, or yeah, that would be a better way, that will better workflow. It's thinking out loud, which is what we claim to be really good at, right? I just need the person in front of me. You give me 10 people that are my ideal person, I'm going to walk away with a relationship out of 7. And then I'm like, what would Alex Hormozi say? Well, then make 1,000 phone calls, because for every 10 you get, you close 7. Then stop being humble and start amping up that number of inputs. And this is the interwebs. This is the limiting factor. The stupid line that I stole from someone was, the distance between you and your ideal anything is the thickness of the glass on your smartphone. What are you doing? Why are you on this side of the glass? Start tapping on it. So a podcast, I mean, so it's funny that you talked about Damon. Drew Cruz, who we've talked about on the show, listens a lot. He's in the class too. And the first 4 weeks, this is a very anti-Jimmy McKay. The first 4 weeks of the 8-week course, it should be 6 weeks, by the way. I stretched it out too much, not on purpose. But anyway, the first 3 or 4 weeks were very theoretical. Like, we did not start talking about talking. We started talking about thinking for reasons like this. Like, I was like, I'm not here to talk you into or out of a podcast. You paid me for a course. I want you to think about it as a conversation amplification engine. I can show you buttons to make sound effects. I can show you which $300 microphone to buy. That's not going to solve your problem. How do we get you, Drew, or Damon, or Dave, or Tony through this little camera and onto screens to get people in front of you? It's the vehicle, not the destination.
a little fun feedback for you, and I hope I'm saying this correctly. Damon had said that you had said, which we've all have said, your first 10 or 100 podcasts are going to be terrible. Just get them out of the way. What ended up happening, and I've experienced this when I talk to employees, I've experienced this when I talk to patients. You say something with an idea in your head of how you expect it to be conveyed, but it turns into something totally different.
Yeah.
Damon was like, well, I don't want to interview these people because my first 10 are gonna suck. And it ended up like paralyzing him, looking for people that he didn't care about to interview.
Right.
So I was like, no. And I told him, I said, he had done the Rob Vining telehealth challenge where he did like 100 telehealth visits. He's done videos, he's done stuff. I'm like, I know what Jimmy was implying. It doesn't apply to you. Just get those people on and start talking to them.
So ditch that for my repertoire. Yeah. What I meant to say, or that is what I said. What I meant to convey was, it's never going to be. You're in your own head. Trust me. I mean, I'm teaching a course now, and I'm just like yammering on for 47 minutes, going. I'm trying to read facial expressions, going. This is going awful. This is going terrible. I'm just up here like a fire hose. But then the feedback from them, and I've said, tell me if this is bad. I will pivot. And they're like, no, this is great. Like. I keep forgetting they're there to sit there and learn, where I'm more of a conversation guy, right? So there's the feedback. Listen, this is the same idea of a workshop, right? This is why for a while there, that was the cool thing to do these workshops for $19 just to get people in the door, because we say, once you have a little bit of the Kool-Aid, you're like, oh, this is a cool environment. This person is good. The stakes are lower. This doesn't feel as intimidating. We're all kindergartners on the first day of kindergarten, right? Which is why they bring you in a few days before school in kindergarten. Like, look, this is your chair, this is your cubby. You're lowering the stakes. You can do that with these stupid cameras and phones. You can do that. That's the point.
Dave, how old is Dave Jr.?
Oh man, in about 30 days, he's going to be 2 years old.
Oh man,
it's crazy.
Has he started any of the terrible 2 stuff?
Oh yeah. The tantrums and some meltdowns. We're in it. We're in it right now. Yes.
All right, Jimmy, you had some other topics. What else we got?
Yeah, I wanted to go to this one because they all feel like they're sort of playing with each other. This was a mailbag. You had picked this up, and I actually know Amy McMillan.
Yeah.
She's a hustler. So this is from the Uncaged Clinician Facebook group. This is from our new section. Our new segment, not called mailbag. This is, you didn't ask, but we're going to answer anyway. So you didn't ask.
We're putting it into our mailbag.
We're putting it in our mailbag, and we're just going to read it. So the post Amy had yesterday was, she said she got her first patient referral from AI, self-pay, signed up for a 12 package of wellness, mobility, and stretching sessions. Is anyone else seeing this and ranking in AI searches? This is the best. Not sure how I accomplished this. So like she did whatever she did it the right way. Now she's trying to figure out, how do I do more of the right things to get this result? So Dave, you've talked about this. You've experienced being the answer when someone asked AI. Did you ever figure out like more of what you could be doing?
No, I mean, I think it just already helps if you have some. And some is so vague in general, but some digital footprint already, right? So you have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, you have a website, you have your Yelp listing, your Google My Business listing, whatever else, digital directories, whatever your current digital footprint is already. I think a lot of these, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, whatever, are going to be pulling from the existing digital footprint of just everyone out there. I don't know how it would sort, hers versus another competitor, or my practice versus another competitor. Although I'm sure that the keywords or phrases that are used in the prompt by that prospective patient probably factor into it, pretty heavily. I don't know.
Right. I mean, someone please, I'm begging, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think I'm on, first base in terms of AI, but large language models are based on lots and lots of language being dumped into it so it can learn. So it dumps things from the interwebs. So if there's a lot of if there's a lot of stamps around the interwebs, similar to how SEO worked, and there are better ways to do it and worse ways to do it, she was the answer, because I'm guessing this person asked a question based on problem and geography, right? Like they wouldn't. Amy, I believe, is in Pennsylvania. Maybe
she's in Northern Ohio.
Northern Ohio. Okay, so like AI is smart enough to know like giving her an answer from Oregon is not going to do her any good. So it was like, got it. Like I'm understanding what your problem is, and I need to be within 35 minutes. You're the answer to this problem in that geographic area. So the answer. Oh, that's how the person reached out to me about marketing. They were like, well, we spent money years ago on a lot of words on our blog, and I'm not really sure how that's working now. And I pushed back going, well, don't touch them. Like, just, it's not doing you any harm, but could we take those words and could you make new content with them? That was the twist there. But so but of course, someone like Amy here is going to want to know how to do it more the right way. So is the answer writing more? Someone just shared online the other day about, I think it was Charles Lockwood, saying that that YouTube was really coming down on sort of mass AI generated slop content, which is what we're calling it. Like, well, if I can generate 1 billion videos in a week, I'll generate 1 billion videos. I'll be the biggest creator on the internet. YouTube's looking at that going, yeah, but we need B- or better, and you're giving us D's. So like, we're going to penalize you for that. We're not even going to make it good. We're going to penalize you for that, which people like us, we want stuff like that. I don't want to be outgunned by crap.
Yeah, I can't remember. There was a term for like how Google used to perceive you. I don't remember what the term was, but now we've kind of moved into the AI world. So even when I look at my general presence on the web, I'm looking at, I've got my Amazon videos, I've got my YouTube videos, I've got all the social media between TikTok and Pinterest and Instagram. But then I also have the courses on Thinkific. I also have courses on Udemy. I also have so many points of contact. Plus, go back a little bit when I used to do the Haro, Haro articles, and I got citations from those articles that have been republished multiple times now. It makes it virtually impossible for search engines, AI search, any of those tools, not to start to pull together some sort of idea about who Anthony Maritato is. Yeah. And if you're not doing any of it, I mean, you can't sit there and complain and say, well, how am I supposed to get in front of my ideal client? Well, you're hiding from your ideal client. You're doing everything in your power not to get in front of your ideal client.
Right. It's sort of like that, whenever there's a spy movie and there's a bad guy and they get facial recognition and they're like, I want to know everything about this guy. And then the team is like in the background and they're pulling up a profile. They're looking everywhere to like sort of put together a brief, a bio, and like, who is this person? And when there's lots of stuff about you and it seems net positive, right? All around these topics, right? Like if someone said, how's Jimmy McKay at fixing transmissions? I think AI is smart enough to be like, I wouldn't go with that guy. There's nothing about him on the internet that says he knows anything about cars. Probably a good call. But when they start to see these things consistently show up, this is good because it's in line with my word of the year of 2026, which is frequency. My goal is take what I'm doing and amplify the frequency. Tony is saying I'm posting 10 pieces of content a day. What are they? I'll figure it out. You're looking around. This is exactly what we did in radio, which is, all right, what happened yesterday? Hey, Scrubs is back on ABC. All right, how can we take that thing that came back, a show that was really great 10, 15 years ago, and it's back. Everything old is new again. This sort of went in line with my post from a couple of days ago where I sort of challenged everybody and said, look, the local news in the Northeast took snowstorm and didn't just go, hey, it's going to be 8 inches of snow. It's going to be 28 degrees. Good luck. They gave you school closings, business closings, when to drive, when not to drive, how not to throw your back out while you're shoveling. Like, put the topic of the moment in the middle and then walk around 360 degrees. Do you want to know a cheat code on how to do that? Watch the stupid TV show TMZ. The whole show is the prep for the show. The show never happens. The TMZ never happens. The whole thing is the bullpen. They're just talking about what's happening and how do we put two and two together and what's the actual story. The whole show is the prep meeting.
So Dave, have you started using AI? I know you're using AI. Have you started using it to actually find local businesses, suppliers? Like, we were just looking at changing the light fixture in the family room. We're taking pictures of it. We're uploading it to ChatGPT. We're asking questions. Once we get to a design light fixture that we want, for the first time, we're starting to look for where can I buy this actual product, whether it be a local store or online. Are you at that point yet where you're looking for local referrals?
I don't know. I don't think I have. I've used either Google or ChatGPT historically to find like concierge, like a list of concierge physicians. Although I already know a lot of them, many of them, not all of them. I'm trying to think if I've used ChatGPT for anything like hyper local. I don't think so. I've used it more for like the, letters, agreements, contracts, like administrative type stuff. Not so much around,
like restaurants. You're not looking for local restaurants to take your wife out to. Yeah. Neither am I.
No.
I'm not.
Yeah, me neither. Let me ask you this. Let's say Amy McMillan or Dave Kittle or Tony or Jimmy wanted to figure out what AI thought of us. The problem is I'm logged into ChatGPT. And it knows no matter what chat now I start, I don't have to go back to a thread about podcast or a thread about whatever. It just it knows. It was like literally yesterday, I was working on a thing with Larry Benz. I started on a new chat about another idea. And it was like, yeah, this is similar to that thing you were talking about yesterday with Larry. And I was like, you're watching everything I'm doing. So the problem is if I was like, hey, who's the best podcaster in physical therapy? It's like, you are, Jimmy. Like, it's mirror on the wall, right? It's going to love me. How could someone like Amy, like, does she need me to log in because I'm Virgin Snow to her? Like, how's it work? Like, what's the way to check yourself?
This is a Tony question. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's what needs to happen. Like, obviously, Google, you have incognito mode.
Right.
I do think you could probably prompt ChatGPT and say, ignore all of the history you have, previous chats. Start from scratch. What can you tell me if you were a new prospect researching Anthony Maritato or Total Knee Replacement in Middletown, Ohio, whatever. But I think a better option would be Jimmy looks up Amy McMillan.
Right.
What can you tell me about this person? I ask probably every couple months. I ask Amazon's Alexa, hey, what do you know about Anthony Maritato, the physical therapist?
Really?
And I want Alexa to go out and see what it can find to come back. And it usually finds my business profile. And I ask it, like, after it tells me, I'm like, where did you get that information? And it'll tell me I went to Choose PT first, or I went to Total Therapy and I found the profile, and that's what, was there.
If anybody is taking anything away from like these topics that we talk about and how we find solutions, the answer is play. Like, the answer is play with it. Like, put AI down like a ball of yarn in front of a kitten, and I want you to whack it around. Like, take the plastic off, skip the instructions. This is what I do anyway. Like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Like, if I get stuck, I'll go to the instructions. I'm not going to go to the instructions. I'm going to Google it. Now I'm going to go to AI. What was I fixing the other day? My Wi-Fi. I didn't realize, like, on my camera right now, I'm very, very clear, but my Wi-Fi has started to suck. So it was like, do these 3 things. So I bought 2 things on Amazon, and I'm going to hardwire into my router now. And it's like, you're 90% of the way there. I'm like, great. See ya. That's a different way of solving a problem. People are now solving those problems for themselves. If you want to be the solution, you need to be in front of how this thing picks the answer. Ta-da.
Dave?
So yes, people want to solve their own problems in a certain way sometimes. I also have a little bit of an early hunch. The folks that found me on ChatGPT, the one guy I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, through Grok, did not convert. He did not convert to be out of pocket, self-pay, whatever. So he wants to use his insurance. I actually asked him how much he thought it would be for an in-network, for a home visit in New York City. He's a younger guy, probably 20s, 30s, whatever. So maybe not as much discretionary income. And I said, how much are you looking to spend like per visit? And he said like $60 to $120. And I was like, well, I think you can get that through Luna. And I think he said he already contacted Luna and they're charging maybe more than that or something these days. I thought they were at 125. Yeah, shocker. So, okay, my hunch of the other ChatGPT prospective patients that came to me, as well as the patient that went through and found Amy that was self-pay and paid for a 12-visit package. It seems like the folks that converted and found me through ChatGPT, as well as Amy's patient, I know it's a small sample size, but my hunch is that the folks now or in the future that find a practice or a professional that way, for whatever reason, might be better or more open-minded to self-pay and paying out of pocket. Maybe it's an early signal. Maybe it's distorted because it's such a small sample size, as opposed to the historical way, which is your primary care physician, your in-network or your Medicare-based primary care or physician sends you to an in-network physical therapy office only. I think it's maybe too early to tell, but I think the process of finding someone nearby, you're putting prompts into one of these platforms. I think it has a different level of intent in terms of what you're looking for, and maybe you're a little discerning or selective and you're trying to find the right fit, as opposed to the old way, which is like, oh, this physical therapy office is a block away and I'm going to call them and they take my insurance. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I have an idea. I have a theory of why that is. And the theory has a visual. And I've said this before, and it has to do with Leonardo DiCaprio. The answer is Inception. That's the top. Did you guys ever watch Inception?
No.
Yes.
What? You got to watch Inception. The whole premise of Inception is like crazy. But Leonardo DiCaprio is like a bank robber. But he can put you to sleep and he goes to sleep and now he's in your dreams. And the whole premise is, I need this guy to believe this idea and do this thing. But if I tell him to do it, he's going to reject it. But if I make him think it's his idea, they'll do it. So they did the work. They're doing I'm the guy in front of the computer with all the ones and zeros from the Matrix. I'm a coder. I'll find my own solution. And when I find my own solution, I believe it's stronger because we are programmed on these devices to say no. Because if I said yes to the first 50 things that came across my feed, I'd be poor by noon, right? I'm being sold constantly. This is the anti-sell sell. You asked an impartial computer and it gave you an answer and you're like, got it. So will this work 100% of the time? No. It good. Let's get to the no as quick as possible. But I think the reason that these are like good suggestions are they weren't. I got a guy coming to fix my dishwasher. I've been trying to do it myself with AI for a while. It's not working. Finally, I'm like, I'm going to call this guy. Here's what I did because I'm hyper local. I went to my Facebook group that's of my town, and I'm like, I didn't say the cheapest. I don't want the cheapest. I want to fix this thing one time. And like 9 people out of 20 said, General George. I was like, guess who I'm calling? Because they're not selling. I do quick look at their profile. I'm like, are you General George's wife? Like, no, they aren't. It's great. So they got this guy. Good. I take that. Word of mouth. We need a word. What's the word? Word of AI? Word of GPT? Word of Jarvis? What's our word?
Let me ask you, I'm curious. You started your self-fix for the dishwasher. What did you do? Did you take a picture of the error code and put it into ChatGPT?
No.
Did you go to YouTube and look up your dishwasher model?
I Googled the model type but here's my problem. It's working, but it sucks. I don't know how to Google. It makes noises a machine should not make. I don't know how to Google.
You haven't?
What's wrong with your dishwasher? It sounds angry. It's not an answer. I don't know. It's over my head, so I'm done. You
haven't put that into ChatGPT yet?
I should.
Yeah.
I should. I'll do it right now. But that's what I started. I tried to be like, do it the right way. Like, The YouTube video, I wouldn't know what to search. I don't know where the problem is. When I run it, it runs. It sounds like there's a fork in a garbage disposal. I don't know where that comes from. So I don't even know where the problem is. It's from inside the dishwasher.
So here's the thing. If you would have grabbed me 10 years ago, I would have Googled it. If I wanted to see like schematics and I wanted to read the article and maybe see some photos, I would have YouTubed it. If I wanted to see somebody else fixing the dishwasher, the washing machine, the lawnmower. Now with AI, you can snap a picture. You can say, this is my dishwasher. It's making these sounds. I don't know where these sounds are coming from. Ask me questions that you need to know the information to, so that we can figure this out together.
Yeah.
And that's the way we've been fixing appliances in the last year. And it's amazing what it can do.
Yeah. Like it's saying, I literally said, my Samsung dishwasher sounds angry. It works, but it sounds like there's a fork in a dishwasher. I should have said fork in a garbage disposal. What do I do to fix? If you're saying some dishwasher sounds like it's chewing on silverware, but it's running, it's almost something physically hitting the spray arm. So I now I'll need to go back and say, that's not actually it, because I've done the basics. I've taken sort of the cover off and I've done that, but it'll adapt. The thing that you just said is a master prompt. Ask me questions. I add one at a time because I don't want it to ask me 10. I'm like, I can't keep up. So I say, ask me questions one at a time and I will answer them. That will help us narrow this down. So that is a power move that I sort of learned by accident whenever I'm working on a project, because these AI, they want to like give me the whole plan. And I'm like, too much. I want to see the reasoning. So I prompt whenever I'm working back and forth with it. I'm like, let's go through this one at a time. And I even sometimes get lazy. I go, why don't you just give me multiple choice? And then I just sit there and hit A, B, D, A, C. And it's sort of narrowing things down for me.
Uploading the photos is a huge advantage that you can't do with YouTube and you can't do with Google.
Correct.
Jimmy's illustrating what Dave has been saying, which is a gap in the knowledge base right now. Jimmy's a smart guy. He's using AI all the time. He didn't immediately think, I'm going to go to AI for my dishwasher problem. Right. Just like the patient sitting at home isn't immediately thinking, I'm going to go to AI for my shoulder problem.
Right.
And the patient sitting at home doesn't necessarily know how to communicate with AI to tease out the solution to their shoulder problem. I have zero doubt that AI today, right now as it is, can fix every orthopedic problem we are dealing with. It's not that AI can't do it and do it well. It's that the user, human interface, we don't know how to communicate what needs to be communicated in order for AI to access the information. So the value gap, and this is where I think we come in. The value gap is, you have a problem. I know AI can fix it. Pay me to be the in-between that connects your problem with the solution. What's really interesting, and I don't know if you guys followed this, IBM stock dropped like so many billions of dollars because Anthropic came out and said, we can fix COBOL code better than humans. And a huge part of IBM revenue was fixing inefficient old COBOL code.
Wow.
That's where we are. Like, the solution to every orthopedic problem already exists. The only reason we have a job and the only reason we're getting paid is because we're fixing an inefficiency in the market. Once that inefficiency is gone, once a population understands how to use AI as well as we understand it, we're done. There's nothing left for us to do. The juice has been squeezed. We need to move on to the next thing.
Right. Yeah. The access to knowledge is gone. The barrier to access to knowledge is gone. We used to say we have access to almost all of human history's knowledge with Google. Now we have it. We still have it with AI, but we have practicality and usefulness. The disconnect now is, what questions do I ask to get the most useful answer now? Right. And the kids who are 7 years old are not going to struggle with this because, number one, it's going to be better by the time they're 22 and they need to fix a transmission, but they're going to know how to use it better. Again, 5 years ago, I said, you mock these kids with their TikToks. All I see is people who know how to communicate in brevity. and they know how to be discerning. Oh, they have no attention span. No, they don't have to watch bullshit. So they don't. Like, you had 5 channels when you were growing up. So that's why the final episode of MASH was the most watched TV show on the planet. It was a good episode, but it was one of 5 choices. Like, that's why it won. It was an event of one of 5 channels. That is not to flip the funnel upside down now. You're right. We are right now the bridge. Now, I think, what do you think about this, though? I think there's always going to be a place for, I want someone to do it with me, or I want to make sure I'm doing it right, or can you oversee this? That's why there's coaches. I can go run a marathon. Right? There's just a thing on Monday, run this, on Tuesday, run this. Why do I go with a group, or why do I hire a coach? It's not for that stuff. It's for everything else.
And those folks will be able to continue to raise their prices over time. They will always have a spot in the marketplace, not because they're the cheapest, but because they have some insight or unique leverage, or they have some amount of value that is different than what the consumer would find if they just try to do a YouTube video for the dishwasher.
Right. I was a coach, or I think I asked this before. You guys familiar with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's team in training? Do you understand what that program is or how it works? Essentially, it was like, hey, I want to run a marathon, but I don't know how to do it. Like, I want to experience something. It was really for people either running their 10th or their first. And they were like, we'll give you a coach. We're going to put you in a group that you do a long run once every Saturday with a group of people who are going through the same cohort as you. We're going to get you into a race for free, probably a race that's already closed that you can't even buy your way into. So we've got a little bit of scarcity. And then what do I have to do? We got to show up and run, and you got to fundraise. So what would cost you $500 to pay your way in, you fundraise $3,000. By the way, we're also giving you that warm and fuzzy because you're going to cure blood cancers. So I was a participant. I did a bunch of events for team and training. I used to cheat too. I would go do my fundraising with a radio station. So I'd go on the air on Monday and I'd be, y'all, we're killing blood cancer by Friday. Go to the station website, drop $5. I wound up being a coach when I was in PT school because my advisor was a coach. And the cool experience was, do you want to run a marathon? Yes. Do you want to have your workouts catered for you? Yeah, why wouldn't? We're going to have 3 coaches assigned to you. And your weekend long runs, we're going to pick the coolest spots around Washington, D.C. that fit that week's run. So it was like you had a Sherpa, a concierge. Was that worth you going out and fundraising $3,000? Yeah, because it wasn't $3,000 for you to go be bougie. You were doing it under the banner of also curing cancer. Like, all those things lined up perfectly. It took me 10 years of either fundraising or coaching for team and training. The logo is TNT, right? And the AC/DC song, TNT was the motto. I'm in the middle of a 20-mile run before I realized team in training is not abbreviated TNT, but the marketing guy understood the assignment on why he should abbreviate it TNT and not. And now you're all doing the math with me. But it took me 10 years. I'm a slow guy. But that's who's going to win, right? So if a local run PT, why wouldn't you buy a trailer, hire a DJ every Saturday, throw a party at 7 a.m. at the head of the running trail and be like, we running, who's on the team? And everybody gets a shirt so I know who's in the club and who paid and who didn't. And we're going to do a warm-up. That's where the direction is going.
Dave, were you going to say something?
Yeah, so that might be a little bit of a segue. So what you're just talking about in growing like a following or a community or a tribe, I shared something in the DMs to all of us about the post about how to build a following, build a cult following. And the one thing I posted to you guys was so that post was suggesting that to build a following, you have to acknowledge or you have to declare a shared enemy. Correct. And Jimmy, I don't think you initially liked it, or I don't think it initially made sense. And I pitched to you guys, I said, so for concierge pain relief, would my common enemy be in-network physical therapy, or would it be average treatment, whatever that is, or like who would be my potential enemy? And of course that will result in some people not liking the company, the brand, the positioning, all that, but then it attracts certain people, which is the whole intent, to try to find your ideal client, your ideal community member, prospective patient, tribe, cult, whatever you want to call it.
So you're asking, who should my enemy be, which I agree with. I worked at a practice who had the same sort of thing, and I was trying to coach this owner into, I think you're fighting the wrong battle. I think you should fight a battle, but not this. He was essentially, I'm the anti-mill. And I'm like, cool. I think your answer is on your freaking hat. You fight pain. It's just plain wrong.
But here's the thing. That's not controversial.
But living with it, it's just plain wrong. Like Steve, the guy from Story Brand would say, finish this sentence. It's just plain wrong that my ideal person lives with blank. What are they? It's just plain wrong that I can't do what I did 10 years ago. You're talking about how to get it. No one really gives it. That's no one's fight. No one cares about, like, oh, should I go to a clinic? Don't settle for mediocre care. Care about what? Fight back against pain. I think the thing that really hurts is pain. To sound dumb. I don't know. Tony, what do you think?
Okay. Go ahead, Tony.
What were you going to say, Dave? I'm thinking about this.
Okay,
I don't agree with Jimmy, but I'm thinking about why I don't.
All right.
Okay. So Jimmy, music, radio, Rage Against the Machine. Jimmy, who did Rage Against the Machine not like? Who was their
man?
Which is what? The government, right? Rules, all that.
Whoever sucks. I can, it's a variable, but it's usually the government keeping me down.
Okay, but historically or even recently, they would do, and not to get political, but they would show up in certain cities. They would do certain things with protests and all that, right? So they had who they didn't like. They declared who they didn't like. And let's say in the US, there's a bunch of people that agree with them and a bunch of people that disagree with them. But they're not saying like all governments. I mean, they're saying obviously like the US type, the US government type of thing. This policy, whatever it might be. So they declare, and historically they had a lot of content, music, lyrics that was all like 100% about this. They even they were on SNL. Did you hear this story about what they did with the US? They did something with the flag, with the United States flag. They got in trouble. Yeah, right. This was back in like, I think Dick Cheney was like the host of SNL. This was like back in the George W. Bush, Dick Cheney years. And I think Dick Cheney was like the host or like a guest or something on SNL. And Rage was the musical act for Saturday Night Live that weekend. And they wanted to do something with the flag. I think they had the flag on the stage, but it was like upside down or something, like to be like in protest and not liking the military stance of Bush and Cheney and all. And obviously Cheney like ran a lot of that. So they did something and they got in trouble and all that, but it was like, obviously it was in the headlines and they were never invited back to SNL ever again to perform. But they declared, they didn't say like, we don't like structure and rules. Like they were specifically saying like, we don't like certain politicians or policy.
This thing that's going on, this is wrong.
And the people that understood Rage Against the Machine and their stance, some people, it attracted people to their lyrics and the music, and other people, and they didn't even have to necessarily like the music. It was more like they like Jerry Durham, obviously, likes Rage Against the Machine. But then there's other people that would hate Rage Against the Machine, regardless of the music. They would hate them because of their political stance. And that's the thing is, with a physical therapy practice, what are some other ideas as we're riffing on this? Should it be a localized or regional or national type of competitor that's pushing them down or holding them down or perceived to be some type of thing in the way, as opposed to pain, which makes a lot of sense. But it's like, I mean, everyone though, Jimmy, everyone hates pain. Who likes pain?
That's a great business to be in then. If everybody, but here's the thing.
I know, but from the recent things in the news, like the things that get the most headlines are when it's 50%, like polar opposites, polarized.
Okay.
Pain is not polarizing. Everyone hates pain.
Right. So you're raging against the fact that, like, why are you apathetic about trying to change your life?
I agree with Dave. I think that there needs to be, like, every country needs to have an enemy. Every team needs to have an adversary.
Yep.
Like,
Joker,
this is just
Batman.
part of human nature. No matter how much we want to connect and relate and share flowers, we are always going to hate somebody. You're always going to find a reason to hate another community, to rally against that community. And this is part of it. It's manufactured, and a lot of times, even in real life, it's manufactured. I don't think a manufactured "we're against pain" is the right solution. But also, when I look at what's been tried and failed, I definitely don't think fighting against mill clinics is, like, that's not going to work. I don't think fighting against chiropractors is going to work. I don't think fighting against a lot of the things that have already been done. So now you're trying to find, okay, how do we identify a community of individuals? It's like, is it people who feel good and feel smart because they're not doing pain medication or pain injections? Like, is the enemy the narcotic? Is the enemy the surgery? Is the enemy the injection? Is the enemy the person who thinks they want a quick fix, even though probably your client would like a quick fix, but your client has tried that and it hasn't worked? So that group of people who want the quick fix, they're idiots, they're stupid, they're fooled, they're brainwashed into thinking that surgery is the solution. We know it's not. And so if you really want to, fight pain, we have to do it in this, like, long-term, drawn out, lots of sessions, change your lifestyle. It's not an easy fix.
Yeah. So all right, going down this line of, like, for every Batman there needs to be a Joker, which is why, like, when people talk about comics, like, that's why Batman never killed Joker. He realized when he did, he wouldn't have anything to rage against. Who's the big you have to name the scary. Wasn't that the other thing in the video? So who's the monopoly? You have to name, like, saying outpatient mill PT practices is, you might as well say that's what we call here at the show mayonnaise flavored ice cream. Like, what is the average person is like, mill? What does that mean? So who's the big scary? There isn't a Coke to the Pepsi, like, because they're all these. Even if a big place in New York City, I'm thinking if you're going to rage against a Spear or a Jag, are they big enough to be scary? They're not. Like, they're still scrappy and small and growing. I don't know. Are they scary enough? Are they generic enough? I don't think they are.
So this is where I think some of the messaging, and I think it's in there. Like, I look at young people who are, moving towards socialism. And I think of the media, and I think of the messaging, and I think of what I'm hearing, and I can understand the appeal on their side. But more than anything, what I realize is when I hear somebody say something that I agree with, it solidifies, it deepens my position on the individuals who see socialism as a solution are individuals that have never won in business. They've never been successful in business. They've never seen how capitalism works well. So, of course, we've all lost. We're going to go join the losing team, and we're going to, tear down the winning team. Like,
right.
That messaging, regardless of where you fall on either side, the messaging is what solidifies the community of, I'm a capitalist, I see success, I see raising people out of poverty, I see all of these things. That's what I would take that comparison into ChatGPT. Yeah, and I would say, hey, help me find parallels. How can I bring this dichotomy from socialism and capitalism into my business model, which is, I want to build a community around pain relief, and I want to identify common beliefs and almost to the point of religion that people are so fanatic about. And I want to bring that back and forth into my communications.
This is High Rocks. This is CrossFit. Like, think of who's done it well in fitness. This is Peloton, High Rocks, CrossFit. What's the enemy? So let's play this game. Who's the enemy of High Rocks or CrossFit? Is it like inactivity or your former self?
CrossFit, specifically from the original founder CEO, his enemy was everything else: yoga, Pilates, regular, Planet Fitness type gyms, literally everything else in the health and fitness world. He was in an interview. I think the interviewer asked, like, so is everything else that's been in the health and fitness space, has that always been wrong? And he's like, yes, it's all been wrong. It has been wrong, and it is still wrong. And CrossFit is the only way. Now, of course, but here's the thing. He built a cult following. That's going back to what we're talking about. Like, he built a following of people that were like, get obsessed with this style of exercise. It's going to kind of tear you apart. You're going to be sore and all that for way more than you ever were before. And it attracted a certain type of person, and everything else was wrong. I mean, that's not always the best. I'm not saying do that with your physical therapy practice, but forget the guy's name, Steve or whatever.
Greg Glassman.
Yeah, Greg Glassman. That's it. Yeah. So that was his stance. Obviously, he got into some trouble, no longer there, and all that. And CrossFit has morphed. But I'm sure Hyrox is Hyrox probably doesn't have. At least I haven't heard. Like, I don't even know who founded it. So
I think their thing is more competition. They're like, we're CrossFit, but we do more. Like, CrossFit used to do like those things throughout the year, like
they still do,
essentially like litmus tests. I think Hyrox is more doing that.
Let's do parting shots. My parting shot related to this topic. I think the challenge we're all going to have with something like this is none of us are that fanatic. There are a few, but most of us don't look at what we do with a level of fanaticism that we are willing to die on the fire to like push our agenda that hard. You have to be like absolutely out of your mind thinking you have the solution and everybody else is wrong. And none of us are that kind of person. We're too logical.
Yeah.
I think my parting shot would be a question maybe for a future episode on it, which is, do you have to be that fanatical, or could you engineer it?
Oh, in that video you shared, they said all these cults, none of them are accidents. You don't stumble upon a cult by accident. It is engineered. It is designed. It needs to feel organic, right? That's just how it is. I'll go a little different direction. I'll say attention is an asset. The path used to be marketing. You could buy attention. Marketing, $100 in marketing would lead to sales, would lead to money. I think that's still the path, but before marketing is attention. Attention is an asset. Learn who you want to talk to and what they pay attention to and what they spend time with, and you'll be better off for it. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Have a good weekend. Stay warm in New York and Ohio and wherever the hell you are.
That's it. We're out.
Boys, what the hell are you doing?
Follow Tony Maritato on YouTube at Total Therapy Solution. Find Dave Kittle at ConciergePainRelief.com and on YouTube at The Dave Kittle Show. And follow Jimmy McKay at PT Pinecast on YouTube, the socials, and wherever you binge podcasts you pretend are for CEUs. And hey, just a reminder, none of this was for advice. This was for entertainment only. Our lawyers say that counts. Thanks, Keith.